cardboard on the front of a semi-truck looks wrong the first time you notice it. It looks cheap, temporary, and almost too simple to belong on a machine built for serious work. But out on a frozen highway, with wind punching through the grille and temperatures low enough to make a diesel engine feel half asleep, that ugly little trick starts making a lot more sense. Truck drivers are not doing it for style. They are trying to control heat. They are trying to help the engine warm up, keep the cab livable, and stop winter air from stealing temperature faster than the truck can hold it. In brutal cold, the front of a semi is not just a grille. It is the first thing getting attacked by freezing air for hundreds of miles. That is why cardboard, or a proper winter front, can become more than some ugly road trick. It explains how drivers think, how diesel engines behave in winter, and why simple solutions still survive on the road. Subscribe to Smart Buy Motors if you like the real reasons behind the weird things drivers do, because this is one of those details that separates people who just see a truck from people who understand what that truck is fighting. International ProStar. The International ProStar shows the modern side of this habit. This was not some ancient farm rig with a driver guessing by feel. It was a modern fleet truck, built with an aerodynamic nose, emissions-era engines, and a design focused on fuel economy and highway efficiency. In normal weather, that front end is doing what it was designed to do, letting air reach the radiator and cooling package while the truck is pulling weight. But in brutal winter weather, the problem flips. Now the truck is not fighting too much heat. It is fighting too much cold air. Freezing airflow can slow the engine's climb to proper operating temperature when icy wind keeps hitting the grille. By blocking part of the opening, the driver reduces how much cold air reaches the radiator. Not all of it, just enough to help the engine hold heat when the weather is extreme. The warning is that a truck like this is more sensitive than old mechanical iron. Modern semis have sensors, emission systems, cooling fans, and engine controls that expect temperatures to stay in the right range, block too much air, or forget the weather changed, and that cheap trick can turn into an expensive shop visit. So the ProStar proves the point early. Cardboard over the grille is crude, but the problem behind it is real. Volvo VNL D12. The older Volvo VNL brings another side of the story: comfort. When people talk about cardboard on a grille, they usually focus on the engine, and that makes sense. The engine has to warm up, the oil has to flow properly, and the truck needs to reach the right operating temperature. But ask a driver in January what matters after a frozen night, and he may not start with coolant temperature. He wants heat in the cab. This Volvo was built with long-haul comfort in mind. It had a smooth highway personality, a driver-friendly interior, and sleeper options that mattered to people who lived in the truck for weeks. But even a comfortable truck still has to fight physics. The heater depends on engine heat, and if freezing air keeps blasting through the grille, the cab heat can feel weak, slow, or inconsistent. That is miserable when the windshield is cold, your hands are stiff, and the whole truck feels like it was parked outside in Alaska with the doors open. A grille cover, or the improvised cardboard version, helps the truck retain temperature faster. The driver is not trying to cook the engine, he is trying to stop the cold from winning. From the outside, it may look like a bad repair. On the road, beauty loses to warmth very quickly. Freightliner Columbia 120. The Freightliner Columbia makes this topic feel honest, because it was never about drama. It was a working fleet machine. Common, practical, familiar, and built to cover miles. Companies bought them, drivers ran them, mechanics learned their habits, and that is exactly why this truck fits the subject so well. Cardboard over the grille is not usually a show truck solution. It is a working driver solution. It comes from people who have been cold before, people who know what their truck does on a winter morning, and people who would rather solve a problem quickly. On northern routes, the grille allows plenty of cold air through, useful in summer, but sometimes too much in deep winter. If the truck is cruising lightly loaded or running empty, the engine can stay cooler than the driver wants. The air is dense, freezing, and constant, so drivers block part of the airflow, not the whole grille. That is the difference between experience and stupidity. The goal is controlled restriction, not suffocation. A proper winter front is cleaner and more adjustable, but cardboard is cheap, available, and temporary. For a fleet truck like this, that rough little fix can be the difference between a truck that takes forever to warm up and one that finally starts acting normal. International 9400i. The International 9400i has the right personality for this subject, because it comes from a world where drivers still trusted simple fixes. It is not primitive, but it has that older highway truck feeling, a big hood, a serious face, and a machine-first personality. Cardboard over the grille is really a driver's answer to a practical problem. Cold air enters through the front, the radiator sheds heat, the engine warms slowly, and the cab heat lags behind, so the driver blocks some airflow and watches the temperature gauge. That last part matters, watches the gauge. The best drivers are not blindly copying a trick. They know when the truck is too cold, when it is warming properly, and when to adjust the cover. On this International, that judgment fits the machine. You hear it, you feel it, you notice when the heater starts doing its job, and you notice when the temperature climbs faster than it should. Casual viewers see cardboard and think the driver is cutting corners. The driver sees a winter morning, a cold-soaked engine, a long route ahead, and a simple way to help the truck get into the range where it works best. Mack CH613. The Mack CH613 changes the angle because now we are talking about toughness. A Mack does not usually ask for sympathy. It looks like it would rather chew through bad weather than complain about it. The CH had that no-nonsense regional and vocational character. Strong, compact compared to the long hood show trucks, and respected by drivers who needed a truck to work. But even a Mack still obeys temperature. Cold starts are hard on trucks. Oil is thicker, components are stiff, warm-up takes longer, and cab heat is weak at first. Once the truck is moving, frozen airflow through the grille keeps pulling heat away, especially if the truck is not under a heavy load. With this Mack, the point is not babying the truck. The point is keeping the engine in the zone where it runs properly for the conditions. Diesel engines are built to work, but they are not happiest when they stay cold. Regional trucks, dump trucks, day cabs, and vocational rigs can all face the same problem. So yes, a tough Mack with cardboard on the grille can look ridiculous at first glance. But the machine is tough, and the environment is tougher. Kenworth T800. The Kenworth T800 is where the cardboard trick starts to feel seriously legitimate. This is not just a highway truck. The T800 has lived in some of the roughest trucking jobs in North America. Heavy haul, logging, oil field work, construction, dump applications, snow country, mountain roads, and snow country. In those places, airflow management becomes more than a comfort issue. The T800 has a strong, functional nose, built to feed air to a truck that may be working hard under heavy loads in brutal conditions. In summer, that cooling capacity is your friend. When the truck is pulling hard, the cooling system needs to breathe. But in deep winter, that same airflow can be too much. A winter front lets the driver bring the temperature back under control, but this Kenworth also makes the risk easy to understand. Cardboard can work, but it depends heavily on the driver paying attention. In T800 country, useful beats pretty every time. Freightliner FLD120. The Freightliner FLD120 might be one of the most natural trucks for the cardboard story. The FLD is old-school American highway trucking, without needing to shout about it. Long hood, familiar stance, plenty of engine options over the years, and a reputation for being straightforward. Trucks like this are where the winter front habit became part of the culture. The front end is big, the grille is honest, air comes in, hits the cooling system, and does its job. There is nothing mysterious about it, which also means when the cold is extreme, the driver can understand the problem instantly. Too much cold air, not enough retained heat, slow warm-up, weak heater, and a temperature gauge sitting lower than expected. If the engine is running too cool in freezing weather, you do not need a committee. You need to reduce airflow carefully and keep an eye on the gauge. A proper grille cover is cleaner, fits better, and adjusts better. But if the temperature drops, the truck is running cold, and the nearest solution is cardboard cut to size, the road does not care about elegance. Freightliner Classic XL. The Freightliner Classic XL takes the same idea and adds more theater. This is the long hood Freightliner, with the big presence and the kind of front end that makes a winter grille cover look almost traditional. It is not just a truck, it is a rolling billboard for old school road knowledge. That matters, because the cardboard trick is partly about culture. Drivers pass things down. One driver learns from another. Somebody sees a truck running better in deep cold, with part of the grille blocked, and he remembers it. It keeps showing up, because it keeps making sense. This Freightliner is exactly the kind of truck where that knowledge feels at home. You have a big diesel behind a big hood, pushing through cold air for hours across cold northern routes. The wind does not hit the grille gently. It attacks it constantly. If the truck is struggling to hold heat, a winter front helps reduce the cooling effect. The engine warms faster, the cab heat comes in sooner, and the driver spends less time fighting a cold-soaked machine. Many of these trucks are older now, which makes judgment even more important. Some run warmer, some run cooler, and some have drivers who know every little quirk because they have lived with the truck longer than most people keep a car. Cardboard is not a universal answer. It depends on the truck, the outside temperature, the load, the route, and how the temperature gauge behaves. Kenworth W900. The Kenworth W900 belongs near the top of this idea, because it is one of the most iconic places you will ever see this trick. The W900 is long hood royalty. It has the shape people imagine when they think of a classic American semi. Tall grille, long nose, and serious presence. But that big, proud grille is also a big invitation for cold air. The front of a W900 is built to breathe. It has to. These trucks have pulled heavy loads across all kinds of terrain with big engines that need proper cooling when they are working hard. On a hot day, under load, that airflow is essential. But in winter, the same design can make the truck take longer to warm up or struggle to hold temperature under lighter conditions. So drivers use winter fronts. Sometimes they are fitted covers, sometimes they snap on, sometimes they cover only certain sections and look clean and professional. And sometimes, yes, it is cardboard, because trucking has always had a practical streak that refuses to apologize for itself. The W900 also explains why drivers do not simply block the entire grille and call it done. The engine still needs air, the cooling system still needs to function, and temperatures can rise. The driver has to leave enough opening for safe airflow and adjust when conditions change. That is the skill. The cardboard is not the skill. The judgment is Peterbilt 379. The Peterbilt 379 is the most satisfying truck to end on, because it brings every part of the cardboard grille story together. It is iconic, old school, and instantly recognizable. It has the long hood, the proud grille, the owner-operator reputation, and serious road presence. In winter, that beautiful front end is also a perfect example of why drivers block airflow. This Peterbilt was built like a serious highway machine, with a front end designed to keep things cool when the truck is earning its money. Cooling systems are designed to protect the engine under demanding conditions. But winter creates the opposite problem. In extreme cold, the truck can lose heat through the radiator faster than the driver wants. The cab may take longer to warm, the engine may feel reluctant, and the temperature gauge may sit lower than ideal. So the driver covers part of the grille. Not because the Peterbilt is weak, because physics does not care how iconic your truck is. That is why the 379 is the strongest symbol for this habit. Big grille, freezing air, long road, experienced driver, simple solution. The viewer sees a piece of cardboard. The driver sees engine temperature, cab heat, cold starts, wind chill, and another winter day that has to be survived 1 mile at a time. And that is the real answer. Truck drivers put cardboard over their grilles because in extreme cold, too much airflow can become a problem. Blocking part of the grille can help the engine warm up faster, hold temperature better, and send more heat into the cab. It is not perfect. Block too much air, forget to remove it, or use it in the wrong conditions, and you can create overheating problems fast. But used carefully, it is one of those old-school road tricks that makes perfect sense once you stop looking at the cardboard and start looking at the weather. Subscribe to Smart Buy Motors for more real trucking stories, overlooked machines, and the small details that separate people who watch trucks from people who understand them.